I grew up in the middle of nowhere, and slow internet was just a fact of life. This was a mild inconvenience for me. I still don't understand any early 2000s YouTube references. But as the pandemic has pointed out, fast internet is essential for survival in the digital age, and our lack of good rural broadband is a glaring development problem. So, if you live in the middle of nowhere, how do you get good internet? One obvious option is fiber optical cable. Can you get fiber optics to your house? Well, yes, assuming you have a spare Swiss bank account handy. Because fiber optics aren't cheap in themselves, and you're not just paying for the fiber. You're paying for someone to dig hundreds of feet of trench just to get that fiber to your house. So how about a wireless option, like space internet? Space internet is typically provided by geostationary or geosatellites in orbit at 36,000 kilometers. This is not a bad option, but 36,000 kilometers is still pretty far. Your connection's going to be a bit laggy. Now, it is possible to use low Earth orbit or LEO satellites, orbiting at only 1,000 kilometers to get essentially zero lag. This is a great option. Or it would be, if it was widely available. Why is it not? Turns out, our antenna technology is not sophisticated enough yet for LEO space internet, and that's where my research comes in. I work with a special class of antennas called beamformers. As their name implies, beamformers radiate in a narrow beam, like a laser. This is necessary to transmit over long distances. The problem with beams is you have to point them at whoever you're talking to. This is tricky when you're communicating with a LEO satellite, which is whipping overhead at 7,000 meters per second. Your beam has to not only track this satellite over your field of view, but also switch instantaneously to track the next satellite. There is no way to physically orient your antenna in real time without dropping the signal. So beamformers have a second quality. The beam control is done purely electronically. The classical beamformer is the phased array, where many small antennas are grouped close together, energized at the same time. Phased arrays produce great beams, but they're complicated, they're expensive, and they're inefficient. So we use lens antennas. Our lenses are built from special materials with spatially varying properties. What this means is that a lens can take the radiation from a single small antenna and collimate it, generating a beam, with different small antennas generating beams in different directions. Now, we can produce beams over a wide field of view using less than half as many antennas and less than 10% the power required to run a phased array. It is my dream for this technology to help rectify the rural broadband gap, and to that end, I'm also commercializing it. So, keep an eye out for my fancy antennas. Thank you.